Okay, you all. I'm sorry. Some text messages come in. Hit that like, hit the share button. Let's go over some things real quick on this Saturday night. If you all did not see the live stream on last night, I had two special guests on how to get rich in a recession. So for you, it's going to be a rich session. There's going to be some people who will decide to participate anyway. But that does not have to be you. Let me make sure my microphone is a little bit closer to my mouth so you all can hear me well. Get it a little bit closer. Let me make this adjustment. And again, come in, hit the like, hit the share button. I want to share this with you. Robert Kiyosaki, his interview, he had a lot of short clips with Vlad on Vlad TV. I may get a copyright strike for showing this, but I want you all to, because Vlad definitely have his videos copyrighted, but I feel like it still was important to share the information. So Vlad actually asked Robert Kiyosaki about FTX, why investing in Bitcoin, and his viewpoint about what Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett had to say about Bitcoin being rat droppings and rat poison. So let's listen in on this very quick answer by Robert Kiyosaki. And again, come in and hit the like button, hit this like button, hit the share button. Whether you are watching on YouTube or Facebook or maybe even Twitter, if you are watching on Twitter, come in and show some digital love. Let's go. So what I want to emphasize is a couple of things from that interview, from this short clip. Number one, blockchain is the key right now. It is not Bitcoin. It is blockchain. And that the fact that Bitcoin is the only deemed commodity cryptocurrency that utilizes the blockchain technology, the same other type of commodities I've been sharing with you all that utilize blockchain technology as well, right? Meaning that it's decentralized, it is out of the government's control, it cannot be manipulated, it cannot be seized, it cannot be stolen. We have artificial intelligence, AI technology, and you have blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is desperately needed, right? Desperately needed when in a commodity sector or section, right? You need artificial intelligence, robots, um, more advanced technology to move faster with the speed of light. But when you have things like high yielding agriculture, wheat, grain, aluminum, gold, silver, blockchain technology, because no one can stop or block or prevent you from sending it. Again, a decentralized commodity that, and oftentimes people think of blockchain or a commodity, they think of things that come from the ground as well as they should. And that's why I always present to you all commodities. This is going to be a commodities war. World War III, right? As Putin and I can't pronounce his name, China's president, have collaborated, have met together. They are in collaboration. In fact, I have this video. I just thought about it. This is an impromptu video I'm going to share. And I want you all to lock in and really listen to this video, right? I did not have this plan, but let's go with it. It's my time. Thank you so much for checking on me. There was bad weather and tornado weather in Mississippi. Actually, I have not at all visited, or this is a small town in Mississippi. I have no clue of where it is. But you know what stood out to me? What stood out to me that it's called Silver City, Mississippi, right? A little small town, and it has the name Silver City. That's a little bit strange to me, being that The silver right now is the most undervalued asset in the world globally. The most undervalued asset right now globally that's available in the world, and that the tornado that killed so many, praying for those families. Let me show you a clip of that. This, because I know the government speaks in code, and most people might think this means the rapture is coming. But me personally, I believe in heart. You may not believe in heart. You may not believe in weather manipulation, but I believe in it. Whether you believe in it or not, in fact, China and have their jet planes is well documented about weather manipulation. As most people that are not conscious, are not quote unquote woke, they will say, "Oh no, this is the end times." And in my opinion, it's really not. It's just weather manipulation. And so this is a tornado again in Silver City, Mississippi, and nothing remained. This is the home of a tiny western Mississippi town, Silver City. After a kill tornado tore its foundations, it stood on disbelief Saturday and surveyed a lot. This is a gentleman, William Barnes, and debris. So definitely, um, those residents or those people that's from that area did have high winds last night. I heard it. I didn't sleep that well through it, right? But I slept. I did sleep, but nothing was harmed, on my way. So thank you so much for your thoughts and your prayers. If you sent any of those up, hello, Tony. Thank you for coming in and saying hello. You all listen to this. Really, really listen. It's like 5 minutes, right? I'm saying it over and over, and this is Africa and the world is talking about commodities and the currency system and why this global financial reset is happening and why it's going to happen, right? And I know some military people, for example, they sometimes say, "Oh, the United States military." Well, you have the BRICS nations that's now combined, right? Brazil, India, or is it Iraq? I always say India, Iraq, China, South America, Saudi Arabia, and now you have Mexico that's coming in. But just tune in and listen in.
One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves?
So let me pause. She said, why is it that it is 5,000 units of our currency worth 1 unit of your currency, meaning the United States, when we are the ones that actually have the gold? The gold is money. Most people don't know this. And Robert Kiyosaki does say, why would you listen to finances from a school teacher? But I am 18 years in the public school. I'm more of a coach and a teacher. I'm not in the more academia area. I am in the athletic area. So my mind frame and thinking is a little bit more of strategic and right-brained thinking and teamwork and collaboration. Not that all coaches or teachers in the athletic or arts arena in this public school system think that way, because I've tried to talk to my coworkers for years about financial education, and many are not open to it. So it is absolutely truth what Robert Kiyosaki is saying, that usually financial or teachers do not thrive. It's a very small circle of us that go outside of the educational system, that know about the um, Dale Carnegie Fund. That's why you have Carnegie Hall, or the 1902, the Rockefeller Fund that funded public schools, so that a strategic plan was put into place so that you would not learn about credit. You would not learn about what real money is. You would not learn about debt. In fact, it was Rockefeller that made the quote that I do not want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. because during that time in the early 1900s, you had a lot of farmers, people were entrepreneurship, you had the barter system, you had farmers, and you had people that were not working quote unquote job, and it was not to their advantage. The multi-millionaires and billionaires, it was not to the advantage of Henry Ford to have entrepreneurs. He needed people to work in his factory to produce his Ford vehicles. It was not an advantage of J.P. Morgan and Chase. It was not the advantage of Rockefeller, who owned all of the oil and commodities. And one thing that Robert Kiyosaki said that he thought that made the three wise men wise was that they had commodities. They had frankincense, they had gold, right? They had precious, high value commodities. Well, if you ever look at anyone that has ever been rich and wealthy, whether it's Henry Ford, his commodity was a business system, an advancement in technology. Or you look at Rockefeller, the big oil guru or giant, or you look at not Henry, but J.P. Morgan and Chase, right? Those pioneers, those giants, Morgan and Chase. In fact, he had the quote. He made the quote that gold is money. Everything else is credit. So all you have to do is just do a little self-research and put the pieces together and decide to take action. Again, if you're just not coming in, I shared a video clip by Robert Kiyosaki on Blog TV, and he talked about that it's not really Bitcoin, it's the fact that it is a crypto that's connected to blockchain technology, right? Started in '07 myself, our pensions, your pension funds are set up that if you work 20 to 30 years to get the most out of it. Most teachers just only look at what's called a 13 check, and I want to work for my 13th check. And my pension plan here in Mississippi, that even gets taxed high. But then they're set up that if you take out your pension up front and you don't get a little bit over time, right, that you're highly taxed. And this is what I'm telling or informing people about. Getting in at Bitcoin again. I may replay that again by Robert Kiyosaki for some of you all that's just coming in. But Robert Kiyosaki talked about that he got in at Bitcoin at 6,000. I have a little ups on Robert that I got in at 3,000, but I'm pretty sure that Robert Kiyosaki money goes longer or it stretches further than mine, because he could probably get way more Bitcoin at 6,000 than I accumulated into 2018 at 3,000. But now you have Bitcoin at $27,570 at that halfway point of reaching 28,000. So you ask yourself, right, how much of a Bitcoin can you actually own if your salary is 50, 60, 70, 80, 150,000, or even 250,000? Not very much. It's not very much meat left on the bones when you don't have that, when your salary, when you're not a multimillionaire or a decamillionaire like a Robert Kiyosaki. And so this is why I am introducing to people with blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies that are linked to commodities that have the very likeliness and development of Bitcoin. And so let us finish watching this. This was a very profound video and concept to me. So she said, why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is only worth 1 unit of your currency when we have the gold? Okay, why gold? Because gold is money. She's saying we have the money, we have the real wealth here in Africa. So why is it that your paper currency in the United States deemed more valuable, or the reserve currency of the world?
One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves? It's quite evident that the aid is in fact not coming from the West to Africa, but from Africa to the Western world. The Western world depends on Africa in every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here. So, how does the West ensure that the free aid keeps coming? By systematically destabilizing the wealthiest African nations and their systems, and all that backed by huge PR campaigns, leaving the entire world under the impression that Africa is poor and dying and merely surviving on the mercy of the West. Well done, Oxfam, UNICEF, Red Cross, Life Aid, and all the other organizations that continuously run multi-million-dollar advertisement campaigns depicting charity poor.
I want you to really open up your eyes and listen to this video. Multi-million dollars campaign for depicting charity pouring income. Multi-million dollar campaign to show just the poor parts of Africa and sending missionaries and military aid when Africa is a very rich and wealthy country. In fact, it goes on to show that how not only the PR campaigns, but how Africa, right, is systematically destabilizes by the wealthiest African nations. And then she shows, and look at the people in the room, right? She shows that the western part of the world, including China and India, which is a part of the BRICS nation, is dependent on Africa in large proportions. 708% for China, 506% for India, $34.3 billion worth of exports sent out. This is 2009. China, 93.6 billion. And these is why these allies have all joined together and said, we are tired of accepting your dollar when we have the wealth. You know, a lot of people on United States, you know, our military, blah, blah. But I think these people have a right to think that way. Why shouldn't they? They have every right. They're tired of being exploited.
In every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here. So, how does the West ensure that the free aid keeps coming? By systematically destabilizing the wealthiest African nations and their systems, and all that backed by huge PR campaigns, leaving the entire world under the impression that Africa is poor and dying and merely surviving on the mercy of the West. Well done, Oxfam, UNICEF, Red Cross, Life Aid, and all the other organizations that continuously run multi-million-dollar advertisement campaigns depicting charity porn to sustain that image of Africa globally. Ad campaigns paid for by innocent people under the impression to help with their donations. While one hand gives under the flashing lights of cameras, the other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta.
And this is, she said, we all know the dollar is worthless. And this is why even military people, you know, they make comments. Oh, our military is not going to allow the United States not to be the global reserve currency. But when you look at this from an integrity point of view, it should have never been. The richest country in the world have been getting robbed for years as a result. And that time has come. It has ended. And as she stated, multi-million dollars from, while one hand, right, gives under flashing lights on cameras, the other hand takes. Even multi-million corporations that plea on people's emotions to help the poverty when they're taking from them in plain sight, eyes wide shut.
The other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta. How can one expect donations from nations that have so little? It's super sweet of you to come with your colored paper in exchange for our golden diamonds. But instead, you should come empty-handed, filled with integrity and honor. We want to share with you our wealth and invite you to share with us. The perception is that a healthy and striving Africa would not disperse its resources as freely and cheaply, which is logical. Of course, it would instead sell its resources at world market prices, which in turn would destabilize and weaken Western economies established on the post-colonial free meal system. Last year, the IMF reports that 6 out of 10 of the world's fastest growing economies are in Africa, measured by their GDP growth. The French Treasury, for example, is receiving about $500 billion year in, year out. Foreign exchange reserves from African countries based on colonial debt they forced them to pay. Former French President Jacques Chirac stated in an interview recently that we have to be honest and acknowledge that a big part of the money in our banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent.
Are you all listening to this? Let's rewind. From the African continent, a big part of the money from their banks precisely come from, and billions, the African continent. So when I have people that tell me, I don't want AI technology, we don't want Fedcoin, you know what? It's just not just about that. It's about countries like Africa and other countries that have been accepting the United States currency for years, which is a fiat currency, which means it has no intrinsic value. It's about Spain coming in 1971 to retrieve their gold that the United States promised to protect and to give them military support and defense. And Spain saw that the dollar was beginning worthless, and President Nixon, right, in the middle of a bonanza episode. If you have not, you don't know what bonanza is, then probably need to. That means you're young, millennial. Well, 1971, and that was before my date of birth. But I know bonanza because my mother's middle name is Bonanza, so I'm assuming my grandmother loved that show as well. In the middle of a bonanza episode, and decided to make the announcement because he knew that Spain was on their way in their warships to get their gold and to dump the United States dollar. So he had to stop and prevent the convertibility of the dollar into gold for other countries, because United States citizens at that point could not own any gold anyway. They made it illegal. And then it became legal again, and people still don't know the value of gold and the purpose of it. And they still chase a dollar. They still hold on to money in their bank account, knowing that the launch of Fedcoin is coming in July. They're still holding on to pensions and 401ks, which is going to collapse as well when the banking system, everything that's cash based is going to collapse when Fedcoin comes. Only real commodities and assets. And after I watched this video today, I, again, will not be sympathetic for anyone that listened to my teachings and did not take action. over a couple of hundreds of dollars or thousands that's about to crash and be deflated anyway, that you're holding and holding on to. Because as I've said, it's about the time value of money. The only reason why money should be kept in your bank account is to pay bills. It has no other benefit. No other benefit. If you are not proactive, but you are reactive when it comes to your 401k, then that's your decision. People that do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And to be honest with you, some of you is of age that you cannot afford to take a big dip in your retirement or pension. Social Security is almost bankrupt. A lot of people, you cannot afford not to take advantage of the biggest wealth transfer in human history. You can't afford time wise. The most expensive commodity or thing that we spend is time, and you cannot afford financially. And many people still think this is a game. And as Robert Kiyosaki said, you have to decide what financial teacher you're going to listen to. Right? Dave Ramsey, Suze Orman tell you to get out of debt. Well, in 1971, when the dollar was no longer linked to gold, it became debt. So that means it's telling you to get out of cash. Instead of giving you the holistic teaching of use your credit to get assets, use your credit to increase your cash flow. See, it's a difference between cash and cash flow. Cash flow is always linked to a commodity, an income producing asset. It's attached to something that appreciates in value and not depreciate. So let's finish watching this. Again, you all hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up for me.
That a big part of the money in our banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent. In 2008, he stated that without Africa, France will slide down in the rank of a third world power. This is what happens in the human world, the world we have created. Have you ever wondered how things work in nature? One would assume that in evolution the fittest survives. However, in nature, any species that is overhunting, overexploiting the resources they depend on as nourishment, natural selection would sooner or later take the predator out because it offsets the balance. One thing that keeps me puzzled, despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves? It's quite evident that the aid is in fact not coming from the West to Africa, but from Africa to the Western world. The Western world depends on Africa in every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here.
And so there it is. I actually had someone tell me today, they joined the crypto commodity opportunity. And they said, well, I don't know if I want to share it because you know how our people are. I'm like, no, I don't know how our people are. In fact, I have a lot of our people who are already joining in it. And this, my thing to that is, you attract people around you that do what you do. If you are in a circle of people that are not proactive, that are not forward thinking, then you have to ask yourself, how long does it take me to get a message before I react or respond? And if it takes you seeing me live stream for months and weeks before you can take an action, then you might have a thought process that, people around me won't react. Yeah, because that's your BS, that's your belief system, and that's what's blocking you. It's so easy to look upon others. And I'm not saying it's like the person was judgmental or anything, but what I'm saying, it's so easy for us to say these things sometimes for some people, because what we're truly doing is offering, is saying a reflection of who we are. And therefore, we don't believe we can attract people who make quick decision when it comes to finances. And let me say this, if you cannot make $145 decision to start a business, you're not ready to advance financially. You're not ready to. $145. Some people would spend that on a meal, on a steak and seafood dinner for two, maybe one. People would spend that on a pair of Jordans or red bottom shoes. My perfume is $300 for a bottle of perfume because I value me and what goes into my pores and my aurora and my scent and my smell, because I'm a person, my love language is physical touch, right? And I love to hug and embrace people. And I want to smell the best, and I want to have that aurora or that scent of wealth upon me. And there are some people who will wait for weeks and days, and time is not on your hand to make $145 business decision. Now, again, Robert Kiyosaki, he broke down FTX, he broke down the blockchain technology. And this is why I talk to you all about getting in these commodities, because China, countries like China and other countries, they are simply tired of it. They are tired of their commodities, the real wealth, leaving, and they're getting a dollar that's not worth anything. In fact, in 1974, right, they made Saudi Arabia like a bully would in school, except the United States dollar after they stopped linking it from gold. So Spain would not be able to retrieve their gold. And so they made Saudi Arabia accept it. So it can now be linked to a commodity, a petrodollar. So you have to ask yourself, if what made the dollar so powerful was the linkage of commodities, then why would you not have cryptocurrency linked to commodities when you know that new money and new technology is going to enhance old money? Is not going to necessarily replace it. It is going to enhance old money and commodities. So most people, you have until July, until this launch of Fedcoin happens. Now, 4 banks collapsed in less than a month. That should be a wake-up call right there. 4 banks collapsed in less than a month. Number 4 is the number of the earth realm, north, east, west, and south, where we also get news. The 4 corners of the earth. Now, the 4th day, light, liquid, land, life, vegetarian, fruit were created. There are 4 levels of learning, right? All of this represents that something is about to happen in the earth realm. 4 seasons, winter, spring, summer, fall. Something is about to happen in the earth. So now we have the tornado in Silver City, Mississippi. But Jerome Powell, Elon Musk, others are saying about this turmoil. In less than a month, we got Silvergate, Silicon Valley, Signature Bank, Credit Suisse, and now you got Deutsche Bank that can be added to this. It stocks tumbled Friday as investors price and growing default risk. Jerome Powell, Elon Musk, others have shared their views on this. And Elon Musk pretty much said, well, Jerome Powell, let's start with him. He announced, that's the Fed chairman of the U.S. Treasury, and what happens as far as the government and the U.S. Treasury, also known as the Fed. And he's the chief of the Fed, the Federal Reserve, which is not a federal system. Neither is it the bank, but he said, depositors' savings are safe. So acknowledge that if credit tightness in the bank sectors happens, which is called quantitative tightening, which means the banks are tightening up on the amount of credit, and definitely cheap money is gone, continues, right? that the Fed may have to do much later with the monetary policy. This is what they're not telling you all. That executive order by Biden has already been signed to change to the Fed coin. It's just not going to happen in July. That has already been put into place. Biden has already signed that act to make the Fed coin be implemented. This is not going to be a last minute thing. And so with this being said, this burdens, it stresses that will put more pressure on the economy, from higher interest rate to liquidity. So now that we live in a debt-based country and a debt-based society, meaning that the economy is good, whenever cheap money is loaned out to people, whether it's to finance a house, a vehicle, or credit cards, or any type, or student loan debt, that you all know that this is just like on topic, off topic, but there's very little tax write-off that you can get from student loan debt, like $1,500 a year, and you can never file it in bankruptcy. So you still have credit gurus talking about business credit, right? Even with over 800 credit score, a brand new vehicle payment more than likely is going to be over $1,200. We move to the FICO 10 and FICO 10T. So commercial real estate will be the next shoe drop for regional banks. And now you have to now consider the smaller commercial banks. What will happen to the smaller banks? Will they be able to thrive? Because, banks, they make their money off of lending loans. They make their money off of debt. They stay functional. They stay needed because they can lend out money. So if they don't have their product, which is to make you their human resource, as Robert Kiyosaki often teaches, your house is not an asset, right? I told people to, make it an asset by having a home-based business. That's why the word home is connected. So you won't pay so much in taxes, and you can have tax write-off, right? And so with that being said, Elon Musk has already come out and said, look, we need to convert these banks. Silicon Valley is already a technology, driven. Silicon Valley out of California is very technology-based, technology-driven. We're just moving to a new technology system, which is artificial intelligence, from the old technology of Google and Amazon and Apple. It's an advancement of technology that Elon Musk is very much in. That's why you have Tesla and the electronic vehicle. And you have the robots that can think and interact as a human would. So, go back and watch things like the movies like iRobot. They are predictors of what's going to come and shape within the next, starting in July and then progressively over the years. Transformer, even as old as Transformer is, right? I think is it Transformer? I forgot. I'll be back. What's his name? That acted in that movie with the famous line, "I'll be back." But even that is a great to watch to understand what's going on. And so, with that being said, people, that's all I have to say to come for you and tell you that this is launching in July, and many economists is calling this very suspicious that the Fed coin is launching in July and the banks are crashing now. But it's not really suspicious because it's a part of the plan. Thank you, Terminator. That's it. Thank you, Red Star. Even if you bought a house right now, you can make money after 10 years being in a 400K house. My guess is no. And you know what? And listen, I'm in a house. But I got my house in 2011 and I got it under equity because I got it, I feel like, at a great price where it was already built in equity right after the economic crash of 2008, and got locked in at a great interest rate. So, I got it with built-in equity. It's all about timing and understanding seasons and cycles, right? And U.S. banks, Fednow, payment service to launch in July. I have mostly people on Facebook say, why do you think it's coming in July? I'm like, you don't study the economy? Well, the government always say they're doing something and they don't ever do it. But the signs are all around us that this time it's coming. These banks are not having issues and problems for just randomly, no reason. It's all a part of the plan. So they call this timing suspicious, as if they didn't know this was coming, right? Billionaires saying, I fear we are headed for a train wreck. Robert Kiyosaki says red fake hikes will crash stocks, bond, and real estate, and the US dollar. Credit Suisse, UBS, other banks facing Russia sanctions probe. Yeah, because Russia's in this too. They said we don't want that. These countries are in collaboration together and said we are tired of being bullied and accepting this, as Robert Kiyosaki says, toilet paper. We're giving you our true wealth and commodities, and we are getting toilet paper. Do you think Beijing and the Russia and China president met in collaboration for So this certified, listen, it will start operating in July. Participants will be certified next month, which will be next week in April, to leverage the Fednow pilot program. So Ken Montgomery, the Fednow program executive, is urging American financial institutions to make preparations to join the central bank's new payment system. An economist saying, it's about rolling out the CBDC. That's why they're crashing out or disrupting the banking system. So a lot of people that do banking with small community banks, your bank may not survive. And, some people say, oh, your money is secured under the FDIC up to $250,000. Well, when Janet Yellen was interviewed and asked about that, she was very stumbled in her answer to really verify if that was true. Walmart laying off hundreds, anonymous sign for the economy. White House worried over Janet Yellen fumbling. If you didn't watch that interview, oh my God, it was hilarious, but it was just, if anybody fell for her acting job. So she is, they say on thin ice, the Biden administration of bungling the banking crisis that keep markets rolling. And when they asked her straight up, or will all depositors' money be protected, she could not, stumbling over the answer. And she's the Treasury Secretary. So Poon and June, I can't pronounce his name. They met. Let's see who's coming in. Hello, Miss Howard, saying hello. What's up to you, Black? Is that Mac? 1978, that's my year. Black Mac. D-Train, what's up? Hello to you. And Miss Howard, if I didn't speak to you, hello to you as well. So all of this system has to go through a makeover, a financial system reset. It has to. And that begins with the stock market too. A lot of stocks are antiquated, right? In the stock market, a lot of businesses are antiquated. As Gene leads Russia and Putin firmly in the back seat of China's drive for a new global order, a new world economy. Listen, if you all are just coming in, I want you to really watch the beginning of this video where I shared the Vlad TV Robert Kiyosaki interview, and also the China clip is like 4 minutes long, but I really paused it and broke some things down about China and its stand on being exploited, of being, publicized as a poverty country, and by multi-million corporations like Red Cross and others, and getting money for those poverty countries. But China is very rich in other areas. You should ask yourself, why is that not advertised? And about the billions of commodities sent out specifically in China and Russia, um, and other countries in the Western civilization, that China is the heartbeat of this economic system. And that's all from commodities. So you got Chinese president and Russian counterpart. They are in collaboration. And listen, they say they have not seen this in 100 years. We are the one driving these changes together. And Putin says, I agree, shaking hands with Chinese leader in an exchange that was captured on camera. The trip brought promises of expanded economic cooperation. And calls for even closer ties between Beijing and Moscow, even as both are increasingly icy terms with Washington. But Jean and also invited Putin to China later this year. The trip was valuable for Putin to signal that he is not internationally isolated, from Jean to signal to Washington that China has a reliable partner in his corner, regardless of what new American-led pressures may emerge. A senior Chinese analyst and International Crisis Group. Throughout, the two leaders' joint statement made no mention of no limits partnership. So this is a 12-point piece proposal. Now, 12 in the Bible is the number of disciples that Jesus had. 12 is the number of government, right? 12 months in a year is the number of government. So China released last month has been dismissed by the United States and its allies and favorable to Russia. Now, what does this mean, Queen? This means, what, they're dumping it out. They honestly, they've already talked about accepting cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, for their commodities. I wouldn't say shock. They have to put on this facade. They have to give this reaction. I think they are good actors to the American people, so they can seem as though they didn't know, but they already know that China and all these other countries are out of the dollar. The thing is, most Americans don't know. And the ones that do know, they just want to talk about it. They want to debate about it. They want to be disgruntled. But if you all watched that video I showed of Africa, you will not. Do I need to show it again? If I get 5 years, if I get 5 years, I'll show it again because it's not long. If not, you can just watch it on the replay. So the semiconductor, we got to think about this, from Silicon Valley, or who pioneered things like semiconductors and the technology innovation of evolution, rather, of computer chips, also died at the age of 94. This is Intel. This is representation, in my opinion, of the depth of the old type of technology where you had Intel and semiconductors and computer chips, to now artificial intelligence type of conductors and electronic system as well. That's why the 16th largest bank, right, had to take the fall first, right? Had to take the fall first. So with that being said, again, 27,000 BTC. As long as the banks continue to crash, I don't see Bitcoin taking a big crash right now. It said 20. I just got one yes, so I need some more yes. I need you all to make a mind message connection. Also doing a live stream. XRP had a nice pump as well, but a lot of people were buying in XRP. And so right now you need to be able to differ and differentiate or differentiate the difference between commodity blockchain cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and the technology cryptos like Ripple, and XRP and HBAR and ADA. ADA is definitely an AI, artificial intelligence, driven cryptocurrency. Mr. Wilson, you're the only one that says yes. Pierre, what a nice name. This is, you know what? This is why I don't share a lot, because people are not, um, they're not hungry and thirsty enough for knowledge. But guess what? They're going to be in a couple of months. They are going to be in a couple of months, right? So these are my crypto commodities. I did not know about Bitcoin when it was a penny or 1 cent, as Jeremiah da Vinci was urging, which is a black male, a black man was urging people to just buy $1 worth, right? But I know now about these cryptocurrencies, and when you know better, you do better, and you get 10 steps ahead, and you know even what World War III is going to be about. It's going to be a commodities. The United States is just not going to go away quietly as these countries dump its dollar. They're going to go to war. And we know war is all about money as well and wealth transfer. And so most of my portfolio right now is black gold, it's BGLD, crypto commodities, and that is linked to crude oil, Texas tea, right? Black gold, Texas tea. This was released in November of 2021. And when gold, I mean, not gold, but black gold, when crude oil hit its all time high in June of 2022, which was about 100, over $120 a barrel, 100 people became millionaires within 10 months' time, right? I didn't know about it in November 2021. I got in actually December, right? December of 2022 last year, but I have definitely stacked that portfolio of black gold. This is LDG, link digital link gold. That's different than gold that's backed by, or crypto that's backed by gold. Link gold means I can turn in my tokens or flip my tokens that I'm mining, right? It's different than buying and holding. I'm mining and allowing my tokens to grow. And I'm entering in at a very low entry point. A lot of these are under 1 penny already for higher accumulation in the future, for higher capital gains in the future. And so I have linked digital gold. I can retrieve for every gram that's mined. I can retrieve for a physical gram of gold. This is DET. This is the utility token that connects all of these crypto commodities on the blockchain. DET is an acronym for decentralized, eco-friendly blockchain technology. Means it's a very eco-friendly way in connection with XPLR. And I know that sounds a lot like XRP, but this is the only satellite technology that's leased or that has space in space. And all of these commodities, right, on the periodic table have a different frequency, have a different vibration. And so with all of these are the number of licenses that I have. This technology scans the earth, the Google Earth, and is able to find in a more eco-friendly way without destroying or destruction of earth or mining areas of land, and you don't find the actual commodity, whether that be black gold or natural gas or silver or gold, right? And so speaking of natural gas, you do have natural gas. How many of you all believe that natural gas prices will increase this summer like we saw last summer? Let me know in the comment section if you believe natural gas prices will see prices at that price point again or and even higher, because economists are predicting that we're going to see $4 gas for regular in May, starting in May. So of course, when I'm at the gas pump, right? So you have it at 0.00017, it's 3 zeros under a penny. That my money, my crypto commodity is moving just as high as gas prices. You have growth. This is high yielding agriculture. So I will play that Africa video again for you all. I got the yes that I needed. I will. This is grow high yielding agriculture. It is supported by um, the agriculture farmers in Africa. They have helped them in a very eco-friendly way to be able to harvest 3 times a year. Up to this point, the farmers in Africa could only harvest during the rainy seasons. This is all supported and linked to high yielding crops like weed and hemp, things that heal you, plant-based healing and benefits for the body, arthritis and all type of uh, ailments and illness. You have rice, you have soybeans, you have cocoa beans, you have mangroves. Mangroves, as we talked about Silver City, Mississippi, with the tornado. Mangroves have been, if planted in the area, not only helps remove carbon dioxide from the air, right, to give us pure oxygen, but they also help against that type of high wind, tornado type weather as well. You really need to research the power of mangroves or mangroves, right? Again, I talked about XLR. Aluminum is a $5 billion industry. It is exactly what it says, aluminum. We drink out of aluminum cans. We cook in aluminum food. You want things that are commodities that are used in the real life, in real world. And why is that? Because anything that's consumable, right, is going to be more valuable. This is why I also been telling people about physical silver and copper, as the shortage will drive up the prices for these as well and their value, because there are both industrial use, there are commodities that are consumed and needed, not something that's hyped up as you got these celebrities that were fined by SEC for pumping things like FTX coins and just things you never heard of and that had no use case, no utility. Beverage is right now passively giving people $13 and roughly 60 cents a day, because you also get the liquidity. It pays out daily. So you can liquidate these if you want to. I'm about accumulation and appreciation. I hold on and just let my mining. And anybody in the world can download this software on their phones or laptop. You see it from my laptop, and mine these the same as Bitcoin. This is what makes it decentralized, that anyone can download software and mine a node from anywhere in the world. So just like gold is gold anywhere in the world, right? Um, Wheat is wheat anywhere in the world, and Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And this one is blocks. This is commercial real estate. And what I love about blocks is that you get the royalties and fees and the transaction. I love all of these. I own all of these, not just some of them. But when you either buy a home or commercial real estate, that you have fees and transactions that you're paying to a third party, your brokerage account or your brokerage fee, right? And so these token holders, you get the royalties from that would have went to a middleman or to the project of collecting fees. And this is over 500 million in transactions. So they're working with multiple institutions to go to collecting fees over 500,000. Last year, the real estate market was estimated alone at 3.81 trillion. That's going to grow to $1.8 trillion industry by 2030. And so blockchain technology has also impacted real estate. And then you see Bev on this. Bev is right out of Mississippi. So, really needed right now what's going on in Mississippi and South with the tornado. Beverage is a beverage company that needed to be able to compete with the likes of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. They have water, as I'm drinking core hydrated water. They have wine and spirits. They have carbonated beer, energy drinks, coffee, tea, right? I don't know about you all, but in Mississippi and the southern states, tea is a big thing. Energy drinks for athletes. So that's beverage. And now blocks as well, commercial real estate. And so with that being said, right, cutting out the middleman, you reduce the costs and payments. And now that's accepted in cryptocurrency. I did a live stream a couple of days ago showing that an Atlanta home was sold in an NFT format, contract to contract. This is the purpose of Ethereum, to make sure both parties get their contractual agreement without anybody robbing them or stealing them, or having some contractual clause that's not that's not fulfilled. This is why Ethereum will be the brain of cryptocurrency. So blockchain has also technology affected the real estate industry. So fees that are created, people, I want you all to listen closely. Fees that are created through closings, loans, title works, agents, brokers, and more. The royalties from these fees will be used by block tokens out of the ecosystem supporting the tokenomics. Tokenomics is just another word for economics. This is blocks. And then again, I've already broke down digital link gold. And so as a purchaser of these licenses, you are rewarded through cryptocurrency. You are rewarded daily, 365 days a year, 24/7. You get the amount in rewards here. This is my amount. And you also get the value of the portfolio. And you also get the further appreciation or capital gains, whatever you want to call it, or better yet, growth of the commodity blockchain crypto. That again has the same likeness of Bitcoin, the only cryptocurrency right now that has been deemed a commodity. So if that interests you to make passive crypto income and to get these at the lowest interest point of mining, again, you are mining and growing these crypto commodities. You're not buying and holding. Mining and growing means I could possibly get 100,000. I'm just using that number randomly. I could have said 10,000. I could have said 1,000,000. I could have said 10 billion. But I'm getting tokens on a daily basis. I'm not just buying what my money can afford and I just have a set amount of tokens. I'm purchasing a goose that's giving me golden eggs perpetually, perpetual income. It would be like purchasing an ATM that gives you infinite cash, because these licenses have a minimum of 10 years of daily tokens provided to you, meaning that if you want to liquidate them and cash out, you have a continuous flow coming back in. And that's a biblical principle, by the way. It's in 2 Kings chapter 4, where the widow woman, Elijah told her to get a commodity, which was oil, fill her pot, her vessels that she borrowed from her neighbors with the commodity of oil, to leverage her credit to start a home-based business. You should go to millimoves.com and get more information how to keep your money and protect your money from taxes. Because taxes and using debt in a bad way is the biggest stealer of wealth, right? But at any rate, it said the widow woman in 2 Kings chapter 4, the more she poured out of her vessels, the more they were automatically filled. This is the same concept. A perpetual income producing asset that gives you tokens for life But people that are taking advantage of them now are getting them in at the lowest mining opportunity cost. All right, so I did say I would play that for you. So here we go. I probably won't interrupt it this time. It's 4 minutes and 18 seconds long, and I might, but it's been over an hour live stream, so I would definitely try not to.
That keeps me puzzled. Despite having studied finance and economics at the world's best universities, the following question remains unanswered. Why is it that 5,000 units of our currency is worth 1 unit of your currency, where we are the ones with the actual gold reserves? It's quite evident that the aid is in fact not coming from the West to Africa, but from Africa to the Western world. The Western world depends on Africa in every possible way, since alternative resources are scarce out here. So how does the West ensure that the free aid keeps coming? By systematically destabilizing the wealthiest African nations and their systems, and all that backed by huge PR campaigns, leaving the entire world under the impression that Africa is poor and dying and merely surviving on the mercy of the West. Well done, Oxfam, UNICEF, Red Cross, Life Aid, and all the other organizations that continuously run multi-million-dollar advertisement campaigns depicting charity porn to sustain that image of Africa globally. Ad campaigns paid for by innocent people under the impression to help with their donations. While one hand gives under the flashing lights of cameras, the other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta and technology. And maybe this, while the euro shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless.
Okay, I said I wasn't gonna pause because it's my second time playing this, but so everybody knows dollars worth except United States citizens, and they don't want to put their cash into assets and income producing assets. All they want to do is sit up and argue about it, about what Fedcoin is going to do, how CBDC is going to take away our freedom, which it will. You're going to have a time frame to spend that money on CBDCs, or they're going to take it away. You're not going, and guess what? CBDCs will not be able to buy these cryptos for you. They don't want you to have assets. Like, while you have this system right now, you need to be converting that cash into assets. They will decline purchasing silver, purchasing crypto commodities. You will be declined. For some people, if they don't act now for CBDCs, that's why the IMF, International Monetary Fund, says you will own nothing and be happy. If they're doing it to other countries, it's now they're going to have to do it to you because other countries is not changing their commodities anymore. And this is why getting commodities right now into cryptos on the blockchain, while you're not in CBD system, is so important. And as she said, we all know the dollars are worthless, but yet people do not put their dollars into assets, to something that have real world value. So as it shows the chainsaw and the dollar sign for US dollar, an American man that's feeding the food, as she talked about, to the poor, as the poor has been advertising this picture. The chainsaw on the bottom of this ship that's coming in is eating away on the block of land that the poor person is standing on. I want you to get this. I want you to really get what this 4 minute powerful video is showing you and educating you on. While one hand gives, the other flashing lights of camera takes away. Africa Global's campaigns paid by innocent. I'm gonna replay that part, right? Because repetition is supposed to be the key to learning. But some people, right? Someone Samuel said, it's sad only 27 viewers who will be a small group. But you know what? I would like to have larger viewers. I definitely would to reach a larger audience. But even the 27 in here is not participating. I ask people to comment, ask them to hit the thumbs up. Right? The Bible says we're getting out the day of small beginnings, but you know, Jesus changed the world with 12. I don't mind the numbers. I would love to impact more. But any platform that gives you the truth, really on Facebook, I mean on YouTube, is really suppressed when they go live. That's why I'm making connections and commenting and hitting the thumbs up is important because that, feeds the algorithm. And just a principle is that when someone is giving you something and you can do something for free, that you should. That's just giving and receiving. That's just a principle of giving and receiving. So Samuel and everyone that's commenting, at least, thank you for commenting and hitting the thumbs up button.
For by innocent people under the impression to help with their donations. While one hand gives under the flashing lights of cameras, the other takes in the shadows. We all know the dollar is worthless, while the euro is merely charged with German intellect and technology, and maybe some Italian pasta. How can one expect donations from nations that have so little? It's super sweet of you to come with your colored paper in exchange for our golden diamonds. But instead,
are you all really listening? She said your colored paper in exchange. First, she talked about 5,000 units of our money that's worth 1 unit of yours. But she said, how? Did she say nice of you? But I know she said in exchange for golden diamond. Oh, super sweet. Super sweet. For you to come with this colored monopoly paper money in exchange for our gold and diamonds. I don't know if you all know, but a lot of these projects, I'm going to see, can I pull it up? These crypto commodities, they're in collaboration with Ghana and helping the farmers out of Africa. Some of these, like next week, April 1st, and you can't find these on any other exchange, right? You cannot find this on any other exchange. You can't go, you have to be a member exclusively to get these crypto linked commodities. But they're in Ghana and they're helping these farmers and they're helping them pass the carbon credits and all of this that's going on. Right. So I'm going to show you all that video as well. It's short, so let's go.
Colored paper in exchange for our golden diamonds. But instead, you should come empty-handed, filled with integrity and honor. We want to share with you our wealth and invite you to share with us. The perception is that a healthy and thriving Africa would not disperse its resources as freely and cheaply, which is logical. Of course, it would instead sell its resources at world market prices, which in turn would destabilize and weaken Western economies, established on the post-colonial free meal system. Last year, the IMF reports that 6 out of 10 of the world's fastest growing economies are in Africa, measured by their GDP growth. The French Treasury, for example, is receiving about $500 billion year in, year out. Foreign exchange reserves from African countries based on colonial debt they forced them to pay. Former French President Jacques Chirac stated in an interview recently that we have to be honest and acknowledge that a big part of the money in our banks comes precisely from the exploitation of the African continent. In 2008, he stated that without Africa, France will slide down in the rank of a third world power. This is what happens in the human world, the world we have created. Have you ever wondered how things work in nature? One would assume that in evolution the fittest survives. However, in nature, any species that is overhunting, overexploiting the resources they depend on as nourishment, natural selection would sooner or later take the predator out.
Okay, I got to pause there. I want you all to see. She said natural selection will take the predator out. The resources they depend on, right? Natural selection, get some water. That the predator, and that's what's happening. Sooner or later, take the predator out. In nature, any species that is over hunting and exploiting. Sooner or later, and people, that's why this global financial system is changing. Because the United States is the predator.
Eating the resources they depend on as nourishment, natural selection would sooner or later take the predator out because it offsets the balance. One thing that keeps me puzzled.
People, the balance is upset and has been for a long time. America the Great, Babylon has fallen. Now, just going to show you some results. And then I'm logging off. And some videos of China. This is, put this on mute. This is their digital gold gone. This is the digital link gold. This is how they have to mine that gold. The equipment they're used, the shovels, the machinery is so antiquated and requires so much of hard labor. If you all can see now the shovels, but like the pixel that they're using to break the land up in the background when this go back around. I know the video is small, but the pixel is used here. He's using it right here. They're swinging the pixel. This is where this XPLR technology is coming in to advance the technology system that they're even mining their materials with. So that's one collaboration of doing this and investing or purchasing these digital software through these nodes. And another, just some testimonials of other people that are other than myself receiving the daily rewards and the financial benefits of helping to advance the commodities and cryptocurrencies on blockchain. This is like a result, $961. Digital software platforms that do all the work. It again depends on how many of these licenses you have, depends on how much you get out, right? This is a one day. So just imagine if you were getting paid or you were receiving, right, for lack of better words, $1,000 a day just from software doing all the work. This is what crude oil, black oil, Texas tea, better known as, but they have these mines in not Africa, but they do have it in the Africa oil wells. This is out of Nebraska, some of these as well. Look at that portfolio. I wish I could make this bigger, but it just, let's see, more options. No. This is another day of minding his own business, 1,422. Look at that portfolio value, just $1 million. Crypto-backed commodities and getting them at he's of course stacked up on natural gas as well, $1,420 a day. This is what the black gold, this is the mining of the crude oil. These are what the Shells and Exxon actually use. And these are the X nodes. That's doing that is the charts, the black gold. The daily rewards is $2,000 and $1 million, $500 portfolio with that. And that's the BGLD. And he has 20 licenses, right? 20 licenses. And so this is again about accumulation and future appreciation as well, and getting passive income and getting cryptocurrencies that are backed by real commodity projects, and you earn daily rewards, and anyone can download from any part of the world, right? Versus not getting more tokens on a daily basis, right? And whatever you're investing in, you're gonna have capital gains taxes on that as well. So, text CC to the number on the screen. That's all I have for you. Watch the very first beginning of this video. Robert Kiyosaki talked about why Bitcoin, and that it was not necessarily Bitcoin, but it was the blockchain technology. These are decentralized cryptocurrencies backed by real world commodities, blockchain technology. All of them have the light paper. All of them. But all I'm saying to you all too is prepare. Get your food up, that commodity. You want to have enough food. You definitely want to have enough lead. You want to have your weaponry protection. Robert Kiyosaki said Bitcoin and bullets. Also, you can visit the website millionmoves.com. This is one of my silver pieces. Again, the shortage of silver and copper. They have copper available as well. This just came in today. This is a Justice Peace coin. I don't know if you all can see it. It's shining so bright. Justice Peace. And this is just new. So I have more pieces. Not all. My silver is not really stored in my home. Again, you can Google this. You can fact check this. Silver is the most undervalued asset in the world. You're going to need physical silver because as these Fedcoin launches, there might be a gap or some type of technical difficulties of the transition of the currency system, and it will possibly go back to the barter system where you're accepting commodities for commodities, and that's what made Bitcoin the king of crypto. You can convert Bitcoin into any other crypto because it is decentralized and it is already deemed a commodity. That's why XRP, you have to ask yourself, can I trade XRP right now until the verdict is happened for other crypto? And right now the answer is no. Right now the answer is no. And you know what? Since you all been sticking around so long, let me give you this. There's only 3 cryptocurrencies that you can do that with that already have been deemed a commodity. Now they're trying to fight Ether. I don't think that's going to win. I'm looking at my hair. Look a little dry right there. You all excuse me. I have to train my hair. I wear my braids and crochet so much. But there's only 3 cryptocurrencies that can do this as of right now. That's a commodity. Besides the ones that I'm showing you the difference between mining and growing and buying and holding. And it's Bitcoin and it's Ether. I'm going to let you all tell me what you think the third one is. I'm going to let you tell me in the comment section. I'm not going to tell you everything. A good teacher allows the students to answer. So I want you all to participate. This is a Bitcoin copper piece. If I get someone to type the right answer, I will tell you whether it's right or wrong. This is a Bitcoin copper piece. There is also a global shortage on copper as well. People, the copper on the website millionmoves.com is under like $3. Silver is under $40. That's sacrificing a Starbucks to get this membership, to get these crypto commodities and have a business from home that's giving you passive income. It's only, most people come in at the $145 level. That's it. Not $250, not $300, not $500, not $1,000. It's like having a Costco membership, a Sam's, Okay, you all, I've been on here for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I'm waiting on someone to tell me what is the other crypto that is already deemed a commodity. So again, commodity is a basic good that can be used for commerce that is interchangeable with other goods that are the same type. So, that's why XRP is in court right now. Can you trade XRP for any other crypto? Would you be able to trade an Apple product like my phone for Samsung? The answer is no. So these blocks of chain, this is what make blockchain technology so powerful. Blocks of chain are kept on the record ledger. But with Bitcoin, with these crypto commodities I just showed you, with Ether, and I'm not going to tell you the third one because nobody's commenting, maybe you all are late. If I get another live stream where my people comment, I give you that third cryptocurrency. I believe you're going to be shocked. That is a commodity. And that's all I'm invested in right now. Oh, I do have some XRP. I don't want you to get screwed because that verdict could make it a commodity. And I have cryptocurrencies that's also a part of AI technology as well. Besides these commodity blockchain cryptos. Listen, you all, I am tired. I drank almost all of my water. My voice is very parched. So since no one wanted to know what that third commodity is, I won't share it. But I will ask you all to go back and watch the beginning of this and listen to that Blog TV, Robert Kiyosaki interview. And thank you all for sticking around for so long on this Saturday night live stream. It's over an hour and 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Do not forget, whether you are watching this live or on the replay, to hit that thumbs up. And when you see daylight, text CC on the number on the screen. If you are in another country, I do have a WhatsApp. You can just hit +1 to 331-444-5556 to get these crypto linked back commodities. And visit millermoves.com to get the silver, great silver, and copper on there as well. And also, if you need any help with your taxes and lowering your tax debt, or if you need more money out of your paycheck, they have experts to analyze and look at your paycheck for a paycheck pay raise. You can find it on millermoves.com as well. Queen out. You all have a great night. Peace.